Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Collaborate, and we go across it and actually tamper it down. To go find that person and find out why that knife was. City of Mount Vernon, Washington, covering the case of the Idaho. Keep your eyes and ears open. God bless you.
I hope you feel better, Mommy. I want you to have a fun time with it.
On trip 1 is that poor people lost their lives. Well, good morning. Can you guys hear me? I want to make sure that I'm being heard. No echo. Sounds good. I sound good. Okay, so that means this mic auxiliary doesn't need to be up. Okay, and we didn't have sound. Did you guys hear the first intro video or no? It wasn't. The sound didn't come on until the second intro video. Because we're working on a new system here, so I need to make sure that I understand how to work it. So no, okay. So we had no audio. So now I know which audio I need to have. There's 3 different settings. I didn't know which one to set it on. But as you guys got to see, we did instill our, ooh. Do I have another one? Oh, yes, I do. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to figure out everything behind the scenes, but I think I've got it now. So I got those auxiliaries up. I've got my audio input. It sounds like I'm good. If I'm too loud, let me know. I can turn myself down. Is that good? I just want to make sure I'm not, because it's showing it's all the way up. Like I'm at, probably, I don't know. I just want to make sure I'm not too awfully loud, because I speak loud anyways. So I don't need my mic up ridiculously loud when I'm a loud talker. So I just want to make sure I'm not screaming, or at least people thinking I'm screaming at them. I'm not screaming at them. I just speak very loud. And when I get excited, I see if it speaks louder than that. So it is what it is. Okay, perfect. It sounds like we've got everything going on. As you guys can tell, our topic of conversation is the Idaho 4. And Bryan Kohberger, because the Idaho Statesman released a video, and stop screaming at me, Ben Chaos says. No, I won't. No, I won't. Don't make me pull out the bullhorn. Don't make me pull out the bullhorn. It's nice to see everybody. Oh, Auntie E is in here. I gotta tell you, you guys were very informative last night. I learned a lot, right? And I learned some different information about Austin Drummond and some of the intricacies that they were able to research and find. If you guys haven't checked it out, please head over to Mr. Crimecast, Mr. E Crimecast, and that is, and he's also making his way out on TikTok. So if you guys haven't hit them up on TikTok, make sure you go over and check out their TikTok channel. They need to get up to so many subscribers, the gamut. So I'm so happy to see a, good true crimers, coming over on social media platforms and, informing. A lot of the stuff that we see on here is a little deplorable at times. Even sometimes some of the stuff we do here, a lot of people don't like some of the things I comment about. We've had some pretty weird conversations and strong conversations about, penalties. We've even brought up the child crimes and, evil. We've talked about evil children that have done the unthinkable at such a young age. We're also now talking about not really locking down Washington, D.C., but definitely starting to remove some of those barriers that don't allow children to be held accountable for their crimes. And so there's been a lot of things that raise some eyebrows. We talk about things that raise eyebrows. We get people engaged with topics of conversation that need to be talked about, but sometimes are too taboo to talk about, right? Such as, young children under the age of 10 hurting people to death. We've had those conversations on here. The reason why I talk about them is because I don't know if those are necessarily deplorable conversations. But some of the stuff we hear on here is. Without discussing too much further in that, we have Bryan Kohberger, which I think is a deplorable person. I think that Bryan Kohberger's story is a little weird. And I think we need to start referring to him as BK. I think that's the only way we're going to really be able to talk about it. I don't want to keep saying the guy's name. I got no real reason to say his name. I think at this point we all know what BK means. We all know who I'm referring to when I refer to BK. And I think from this point forward, we need to start referring to him as BK. We don't need to give him the name. We don't need to give him the name. And I hope when people write about him, they don't keep using his name. They start using abbreviations or initials. I think that might be a wise way to move forward, because we don't want to legendary a name like his. You know, we want to make sure that there's no legacy to his name. There's a legacy to the victims' names, but not to the monster. So I think BK was going to be the way we go. But BK, it's a little weird. And here's why I say it's a little weird. It seemed like BK's mom had this unnatural obsession, in my opinion, with Ted Bundy. And this was when she was pregnant with Bryan Kohberger. I think if I recall correctly, now I haven't done the math recently, so I might be a little off, but I'm pretty sure when we did the math, there was some comment she made back in the 90s, and I believe this was late 90s, maybe early 2000s, where she discussed how something related to Ted Bundy and his funeral and him being put to death. Just weird. And it seemed to me that she was pregnant at the time. I think the way we did it, which I just thought was really odd. Like she, the child's connected to her by an umbilical cord, and she's having this unnatural fascination and concern with somebody that has done some of the most we still talk about Teddy Bundy to this day. To this day, we still talk about Ted Bundy. And so she had this weird, so much that she felt the need to write a post in a newspaper. And that was way back when. And then you kind of fast forward a little bit, she had Bryan. Bryan was raised. He's, I don't know what kind of child he was, only the family. Bryan Kohberger's family, his sisters, I don't think they'll ever break their silence. I think, I was going back through the file, and I remember coming across some videos, because I'm going back to the vault, seeing there's a lot of stuff that I've never published, much like Gabby Petito. There's a lot of video and content and unseen photos that I've never published to the world with that case. Not that I didn't, that I intentionally withheld it. It's just that while things are moving at a mile a minute and you're capturing a lot of stuff, some of that stuff doesn't equate to news right then. But you still have the catalog of the footage. You still have the catalog of the photos. You still have a lot of stuff, even though you weren't utilizing it at the time. And now that the cases are over, those things might be relevant to someone, right? And so I'm going back through the file, which this was a crazy time because I had, a Samsung phone. I was trying to convert to Apple. You guys, for those that were with us, you guys remember it. It was just a nerve-wracking process. So and this was going on right during the Idaho 4. So I was in the process of moving from Android to Apple, which was not a fun process. Windows to MacBook, which again wasn't a fun process. And so there was just stuff all over the place. And it was right in the Idaho 4. So I had stuff on the Samsung, stuff on the iPhone, stuff on the MacBook Pro, stuff on, I think that was about it. But long story short is I'm now having to go here and here and here and here and here and trying to build the file out to get everything kind of put together. And I was coming across a video of Olivia and I having conversations about Bryan Kohberger, about the case itself, and about the family. And the one thing that I have to say is that it seems weird. He seems like he would have been a weird dude. And even when he was in school, he was being picked on. And, you know, normally we would equate being picked on as something, I don't know. You know what this reminds me of? And this is only for my older folks. Steel Metal Jacket. Heavyweight. You know, he was heavyweight. He was picked on. Then all of a sudden he started just flipping and working out and getting buff and losing all the weight. Do you guys remember that movie, Steel Metal Jacket? I think it's what the name of it is, Steel Metal Jacket. Then I think that was a good movie even back then. I think it still give the box office crap they're putting out now a run for their money. You guys haven't watched it? Oh, you guys need to watch that. Full Metal Jacket. That was about my 20s. Yeah, I mean, we came a long way. Gangsta Betty. Can you imagine? My mom had to live through this stuff. I'm just saying, whenever you see Mama Bullhorn up in the chat, you should give her a big old fat hug. Oh, good gracious. Full Metal Jacket. Okay, I'll remember that one. Yeah, you guys, if you guys haven't watched it, you need to watch it. And it's a guy that was in the military that was just pushed to his breaking point and lost his shit. And just became like this massacre. I mean, I don't know what else to say. And I feel, that literally just popped in my head. I haven't watched that movie since, I think, the 90s. So, I mean, it's obviously relevant now. This is my right. Yeah, that's it. Chaos knows what I'm talking about. Chaos knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, I've watched it so many times. Okay. Yes, hey, Detective Whiskers. Nice to see you, my love. Nice to see you. So I was thinking about that. But what really inspired this live this morning is none of that. It is because, and I know the biggest part of the family, I was listening to Steve Goncalves' interview, and I think it was with News Nation, Bryan Kohberger. Bryan Kohberger has a really good relationship with the Goncalves, and one of the biggest things, as you know, Gannon Stout, you know, he's a minor. His autopsy photos got out. They were put up on social media. And typically, you know, that's not a problem in later cases. You know, in older cases, in older people's cases, not a young boy, and not this soon after, you know, such a heart-wrenching trial. So, you know, I don't necessarily, I know people condemned people for all of this, and it being a child, I absolutely understand the heartbreak for that. But you're never going to learn anything unless you learn things. And a lot of that stuff has a lot of great value. But again, it's a time and a place thing. Could those autopsy photos have come out later down the road, 20, 30 years, for educational purposes? Probably more appropriate. Right after the trial, probably not. And that was the situation that, I mean, I'm just being fair. You know, people are going to, you know, think it's in poor taste and stuff like, I'm not taking away from your opinions about how tacky or inappropriate or anything of that is, okay? I'm talking typically, like, this is my bread and butter. In order for me to explain stuff to you, I've got to learn stuff myself. And the stuff that I have to look at is pretty gruesome. I don't show you guys the gruesome stuff that I have to review in order to understand certain things, because I think it's inappropriate, okay? And is my personal opinion that this was inappropriate? Yes. And so did the law. So much so that they created a law to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again. Well, it was Colorado. I was thinking Idaho. But this, Gannon Stout was in Colorado. Long story short is, Steve Goncalves, one of his biggest problems is these autopsy photos getting out. And again, I do think that there needs to be an expiration date on an order, like a gag order on stuff like that, because despite the gruesomeness, it still has educational factors to it. And I do think that there should be laws establishing so people don't what does it say? Out of curiosity, is there a case you went over that had a profound effect on you? One that you never shake off? Yes, Gabby Petito. Gabby Petito, and then followed behind that was Sebastian Rogers. Summer Wells, I mean, if I had to do my top, the cases that are pretty much open right now, but the one that had the most profound effect on my life was Gabby Petito. That was the one where after seeing that, there's just something broke in me where I want to put this domestic violence stuff on a pedestal because it upsets me so much how manipulative some men can be about what goes on, because let's face it, women do get abused. We do have a snapping point. And here Gabby Petito was possibly going to be arrested as a result of that. And there just needs to be so much more education in domestic violence than there is. And that was the one that had the most profound, in my opinion, change in my life. It was also one of the ones that made me more known than I not covered that case. You know, it was we didn't know at the time, because you got to remember, this it wasn't boom. It was, one day we woke up and it was a national news event and we were out there. No, we were out there and it became a national news event. There's a difference, and that's what people don't understand. We were out there before the news crews showed up. I mean, it was just our local news out there. We weren't doing anything but just trying to find out where Brian Laundrie was and what he did to Gabby Petito. We knew he did something. We knew she was dead. Okay? When he came back to Florida without her, we knew she was dead. We were just trying to find her. And then when we found out law enforcement lost Brian, we were just, frustrated. I think that is the best word, just frustrated. And we never condemned Northport police out there. We all worked well together. We had 2 officers pretty much dedicated to us the whole time we were there, that we were able to, warm up with. He when he told us to do something, we followed orders. We were out there just trying to advocate and change this fucked up world. I mean, that's really what it was, the mission, just to try to put a dent in this. I know you guys don't like the language, but that's the truth. And have we put a dent in it? Of course not. It's a little depressing, but what do? You keep showing up every day, and it's all about the number one, right? Just the one that you can help. There's a secret sauce into getting attention, but there's no secret sauce in forcing these cases to be solved. It's just basically you try to throw everything at the wall and see what frickin' sticks. There's the secret sauce, okay? I don't know what you want from Betty. But the Idaho 4 was very profound, and it was very profound on me because it was very profound on Olivia. And it was very profound on, in parts for me, in the sense that I had a sister that had just recently graduated college herself, or a university herself. So, it was hard to cover, but you put your game face on and you go out there. There was times when I turned around and Olivia was just a face full of tears, and people don't understand that. Everybody, these things, oh, hey, Guidance, it's nice to see you, love. People don't understand the emotion you feel out at these scenes. And those are the things we don't capture on camera. Even with Quentin Simon, there was a time when I walked over and just held my head down at his memorial and just cried. The memorial that we set up, that the piece of shit family stole. And those are the things that people don't see on these. These things are very heavy. And there's times, like even now, you guys notice we went from like 5 shows. Sometimes I've got to give myself a break and scale back a little bit. And this stuff is very, that, you know, I don't have a cement heart here, folks, okay? This stuff gets to me. It really does. It's like, you know, there's so many things that I don't even cover because it just makes me sick. It personally makes me sick to my ever-loving stomach. And it's just like, what is wrong? You know, I hear myself all day long when I'm looking at new cases or reading an article saying, what is wrong with people? Like, I bet you my dog thinks that's her calling card now because she hears me verbalize it out of my mouth. You know? Like, I'm reading something, and at the end of the article, I'm literally like, what in the wrong with people? And you know, that should be my clue. Do a video, right? And I just, like, I don't even want to create a video on that. Like, I don't know. It's hard. It's just hard. And then, you know, like this, I listened to this. I didn't just listen to it once. I listened to it twice. And it's the video put out by the Idaho Statesman. And you know what you're hearing. Even though that's not what you're hearing all this noise in the background at the end. You can't really make it out other than the dog barks, but you know what the dog is barking for. You hear the blood-curdling barks out of the dog. That dog was trying to get out of that room. That dog knew. But it's heartbreaking. And, you know, you listen to that. And I still, to this day, haven't been desensitized to this stuff. It still bothers me. It still bothers me greatly. Betty, I hear ocean is a beautiful place to relax. I miss it, as I've not seen it in over 30 years. The ocean, yeah. Well, I live in Florida, so I've got an ocean in the backyard, and quite frankly, it's kind of weird, because you know how you hear people, when they have straight hair, they want curly hair. When they're tall, they want to be short. When they're heavy, they want to be skinny. When they're too skinny, they want to be heavier. You know, if they have brown eyes, they want blue eyes. If they got dark hair, they want light hair. You know, it's one of these things. And where was I going? I get lost in it. Oh yeah, and so I have an ocean in the backyard that I never go see anymore. You know, because I think we lose appreciation for that. But I'd love to go see mountains, right? Until I get to the mountains. I bet you if I moved in the mountains, I'd be ready for an ocean. It's just weird how the human works. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You lose your faith in mankind. Where is the kind? Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just... And you know that there's great people out there, but you just see, like, when we do this stuff, we just see the worst of humanity, and we want to lock it up. Like this stuff, you know, we want them behind bars. We don't want to know that they're out there, you know, around our families, our friends, you know. We want to know that they're safely behind bars. Even Drummond, I think that'll be a conversation we'll have probably tomorrow morning. We'll be going over some of the Drummond stuff. You know, a lot of the stuff with Drummond, in my opinion, is, could there have been something else for such a young boy going through some changes in his life that could have changed the path of Austin Drummond? Was there a place for help? And I think there was. And I think he was failed all the way around, but it starts right at home. Like, what the hell is his first crime at 12 years old? A 12-year-old kid? That's just bad parenting. I'm sorry. It's just bad parenting. It's just bad parenting. I don't understand. Most kids aren't thinking of those types of things at 12 years old. I mean, where was he? How was he being raised? How is he being raised? I'm sorry. I truly believe when you're a certain age and you're getting yourself in trouble, there's more stuff going on behind your closed doors. And that's what I told my sheriff. Because I'm all about not punishing the kid, you know, because kids they bring that stuff to school. Teachers are, you know, thinking that they need to go to special schools, because you're not going to tell a child that's got a shitty home life that they're a bad kid because they have a shitty home life. And, you know, it just, the damage is done now. I mean, Austin Drummond's life is cooked. I mean, he pissed it away, and so did his parents. And I'm not giving his parents a freaking pass. I'm sorry, I'm not. Those parents have a lot of explaining to do, in my opinion. So, but was there a place that something, some type of interventions more, that's what I was trying to spit out, intervention, that could have changed Austin's path? I do believe so. Circle back, it was on a video I watched this morning, but I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was pretty bad for 12 years old. They had just released it. They've just released a bunch of stuff. I know it was just released in the last 24 hours, so there can't be that many articles referencing it or videos that reference it, but I watched a video. I can go back in my history and look at it. Maybe we'll do that after I'm done with the video for Bryan Kohberger. But this, let me just go ahead and pull up the video for the Bryan Kohberger thing and get that, you know, starting to move a little bit. Sorry, I'm still remembering how to surveillance video. I'm learning still. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, it looks like you guys can. So this is being fast forward. These are all the times that night Bryan Kohberger went there. There's his first pass, and he's leaving the residence now. I agree, common sense. So now you see him coming back again a few minutes later. So he was doing dry runs that night. Little orange man, I hope you're doing well, love. Now this is the DoorDash driver. Now, hold on, let me pause this right here. Hold on a second. Let me move this over so I can get my thing down. There we go. So this is what I'd like to say about the DoorDash driver. Like, there was some real, they had to have talked to that, they needed to talk to that DoorDash driver immediately. And here's why. Because when they reviewed all these cameras, she was out there with a flashlight. You know, talk about how suspicious that would be. Seeing somebody out there in the middle of a road in the middle of the night with a flashlight, you know what I'm saying? So it was all types of sus with the, not sus if you would have seen this at any other time, but because of the 4 homicides, when they reviewed this, I'm sure they thought this was the guy. you know, first. Like, there was only 2 possibilities in this area. Well, I think a third. There was one car that left, and it wasn't identified even in this video. And it just, some car out of the nowhere just leaves. I've never seen that car come back in this video either. But it seems like at the time that there was only 2 people in the area. Okay? It was the DoorDash driver and the murderer. So I think, I mean, he was a smart guy, but the elements, you understand? Like, he wasn't taking into consideration the lack of people on the road, the amount of cameras in the area, you know, that would have identified only his car. Like, nobody's on those roads at night. Even when Olivia and I were there, we were there twice. There were, the first time we were there was a lot of students still there, you know, packing up to head home. They were scared, terrified out of their mind. But some of them stayed behind. And at night, when we were driving around, cause we went out, I think we did go out around 3, I think we got up and went out about, I don't know, between 1 and 3 a.m. in the morning. We wanted to get a lay of the land at the time that it happened. It's what we're accustomed to doing on every single case. And so we went out there at the time that the crime allegedly took place to get a lay of the land, to see how lit up it was, to see the roadways, the conditions. You see lights. You know, we were always concerned that this was pitch black, and it has always been very elusive for us, whether what we saw when we pulled up those days, whether, you know, people intentionally turned on more lights than what were that night. But you can clearly see lights even in behind his car. They're on. There's lights on all over the place. It wasn't as pitch black as we initially thought. But behind their apartment, even with the light on, they repaired a light on the apartment buildings, and that was repaired by the time we went back for our second. Maybe it was repaired by the first trip we went there, but it was definitely repaired by the second trip we went there. And there still is a spot over behind their house where there is parking that is absolutely pitch black, and there's trees. And if you got somebody positioned, I've got a video and I'm hunting for it now so we can have a conversation about it. If you position yourself just right, guys, stood in the position, you can see Maddie's room, you can see the front kitchen door, you can see that whole portion there. But you have to remember, the night that this all happened, the backyard was lit up like a Christmas tree, literally. They had Christmas lights off the balcony. I was there at night. I saw how lit up it, just the lights on the balcony lit up the yard. So that's why he had to make sure everybody was asleep, or what he thought was asleep, because he would have never been able to get in that house because the whole backyard's lit up. And so that was a weird thing that I noticed when I was there. And I actually thought, and listen to this, and I want to say this because I'm going to be putting out some videos. When we got there and we looked at that window had a screen popped out and a concrete block, like a cinder block underneath to help step into the window. And after reading the latest information that has been released since Bryan had the plea deal, it appears that he may have tried to attempt to gain access in that house through that window initially. Because from my understanding, that screen was in the window before that night. That's some creepy stuff, because that's why I thought that window was where he got in. Little did I know the sliding glass door he ended up breaking into. And I don't know if it was unlocked or if he had to use a screwdriver to get in. I don't know. I don't know if maybe we will find out. So here's the DoorDash driver driving in. You're going to see her here in a little bit. It takes a really long time. She just could not find the place. I can tell you why she couldn't find the place. I'm pausing it here just to explain something to you. Because King Road is the road that you're looking at. Where you're looking directly out at and you see the lights in front of you, that's actually King Road. The road that they're driving up is actually labeled Queen. So 122 King Road is actually on, the driveway is actually coming from Queen, not King. And so it was very confusing. And I know that because I remember having an issue with where's the property. And we just, you could see the news crews down the road. But it just seemed odd. So there, see how suspicious that looks? And that's the DoorDash driver. So you're looking at Ford murdered victims, you get your hands on this, and you see this at first. You want to talk to that person right there. And that's what they did, and they realized she did have a reason for being there. The screen door was left unlocked, that's what I thought. So there was the car. Did you guys see that? There was the car that just left. Let me see if I can rewind this just back. Yeah, maybe 7 seconds. Okay, there we go. This is not the DoorDash driver leaving. That's somebody else. And that's the one car that I said I couldn't identify, you know, who had left, who had not left. Oh, let me move this over just a little bit. You're not seeing it. Move up. There we go. And there he's coming back now. It's just right before 4. So about 2.5, maybe 3 minutes later, he's coming back, and this is the 3-point turn that they were referencing in the probable cause affidavit right here. Oh, no, this is when he leaves. Oh, that's right. He comes back a 5th or 4th time. That's right. I forgot about that. So he's not going to come back until after hold on. Let me stop it here. That's right. So he came in. It is possible that the delivery gal did see him, because look, she was out on foot with a flashlight trying to find the house to deliver the food, and Bryan circles around in this neighborhood before she leaves, because she's about to leave right now. And I forgot about this right here. This is when the DoorDash delivery driver leaves. Because you got to remember, whenever she was talking about, let me just move this out of the way. There we go. It's much easier. Whenever she was talking in the DUI thing, did she see him? Did she not see him? She very well may have, because remember, you just saw her. She's been there for like 10 or 15 minutes now trying to deliver food. It was probably very frustrating for her in the middle of the night, not knowing where she's putting her food. She's getting out with flashlights, looking at people's addresses on their homes, you know, to try to get the delivery right. The document says the cops 3 times, common sense says. Wow. And, so now he sees that somebody's up and moving, and he leaves. And I bet you he realized she was a DoorDash delivery driver. And he goes and drives around a few more minutes, and then decides whether she's left or not, in my opinion. So there she's leaving. Now it's going to speed up, and he comes back 5 minutes later after she leaves. And this is where you're going to see the weird, where he tries to back up and he can't because the snow's on the ground and it's making his car slide. Right here is where he comes in. He comes back out. This is where he tries to back up. Remember, they said he tries to back up. You see the brake lights? There he is, trying to back up. He can't back up. His car's sliding. So he decides to proceed forward. And he does the weird 3-point turn right here. And you can clearly see his car right there. And you can tell that it is a light-colored car. This looks like black and white imaging. So you can definitely tell it's a light colored car, if not white, on this video. And look at how much time lapses. Okay, guys, we're getting a little close. It starts in about 5 minutes. They're speeding it up 15 times. So right about 4:16, 4:17 is when they're going to start slowing it down. Probably 4:16. All right, we're getting close. Here we go. I'm going to stop it right here myself. Guys, This is what I'm going to say. If this kind of stuff bothers you, now would be, you can come back in about another 5-10 minutes. If you don't want to watch this, there's nothing gruesome or anything like that, but we know what's about to happen, and if it's too much for you, I'd rather you guys leave and come back in than not. Don't forget, if you guys would like, we will be giving a coffee cup away. Please get into the drawing. If you would like a Bullhorn Betty coffee cup, now she has, I think she's got a couple different coffee cups, but you'll have to get with Sonia to find out which coffee cup are BHB coffee cups. Okay. Right there. So that muffled sound in the back is, and it's literally right before 4:17. I believe is when, because it was 4:16 when I first heard the muffled dog bark, and I believe that's when he made it to Maddie. So the altercation is now fully underway. So there you guys have it. So, you know, again, very, very heartbreaking. It's just, it's hard to listen to because they didn't deserve that. But you saw how high rate of speed he took off at. I mean, there was no mistake. He was wanting to get out of Dodge. And to think that he caused such catastrophic damage and pain in a matter of minutes. It is a wake-up call to a lot of people. You know? It is an absolute wake-up call that you have got to be vigilant. We're not in the same place we were when we were born. We're just not. A lot of you guys are a little bit younger than me, but some of you guys are older than me. And you know what I'm talking about. You know, was there crime? Yes, there was crime. But there were so many good people there to help. Nowadays, you got people that sit on the sidelines and record the atrocities while laughing and mocking it. It's just a different society than ones that, I don't know. Wow, too quick in my opinion it might have been. And I've got another video, but it's from a lady that actually prepared the 3D models. She actually did the updated one for, I think, the NBC documentary. She's been around for a little bit, and she's done some great work, and I think that she's probably the most well-known, at least for me, from this case, the Idaho 4 and Bryan Kohberger. So, I miss her time. In my opinion, I think he had help and the judge should have tested the rest of the DNA. There's a lot of things that should have been done here, but I blame it on Bill Lee. I'm sorry, I do. I think Bill Lee was highly disrespectful. He didn't have the work ethic needed for a case like this. I'm sorry. But when you have families that have lost a child in such a gruesome way, you include the family, even if the family is going, that is what you are being paid for, to deal with those families, to do your job well, and part of that is the bedside manner in which you possess. And he had none. He had none. And when I see you want to see people emotional. But he was too emotional for a prosecutor. And that was detrimental to why we are all sitting here trying to collect information to find out what happened. This is a public affair. We foot the bill. We foot the bill. We have a right to know. The courts have made that clear. We have a right to know. And he wanted to make sure nobody had a right to know because he had a lousy deal that saved a lousy person their life, and that life should not have been salvaged. It just shouldn't have been. Do I agree this helped the families? Yes, I do. But he deserved death. And if he wasn't going to get death, then that family deserved the courtesy, the respect, and the dignity to hear that directly from the prosecutor's mouth. In a meeting, to hatch it out, if they chose to scream and yell and walk out and F you and F you back and all that other stuff, fine. It wouldn't have changed the deal anyways, but at least you showed some type of dignity and respect to the family, and that would have been admirable from where I stood. But what I saw was not. It just was not. And I feel awful and feel horrible for all the families involved. But we know that there was only one family really pushing this to be shoveled under the rug and just move on with life. I just wish everybody could have had a little bit of what everybody wanted. The trial, I think, would have been very hard on Dylan. She's a mess. She's going to be a mess for a really long time. Those scars don't heal very quickly. It would have been hard. I know the Goncalves are America's family, but I don't think they even knew what they were going to have to deal with and what their children were going to have to witness. It was awful. It was gruesome. It's just a horrible way for the world to remember a victim. However, this is the way it works. You know, this is our justice process. I do believe it was a great decision not to put the families through that, but only if the families didn't want to go through the fire. You see what I'm saying? This wasn't at their request, clearly. A DA was making the decision for them, and that to me is wrong. What did Bill lose in all of this? What did he lose? He lost, outside of me and probably many other content creators of true crime shaming him publicly, but what did he really lose? He lost nothing. He got paid a boatload of money to take care of this case. He's probably most likely going to be retiring and get a huge retirement. What did he lose? He lost nothing. And he couldn't give the dignity and the respect to the families that lost everything. That is not admirable, and it's not something that's going to be applauded on the Bullhorn Betty channel. It's just not. So, I feel bad. I don't know what content I'm going to throw out for the Idaho 4. There's a lot, so I'm going to try to go back and find some stuff that you guys haven't seen. and put it together. I might throw some things in that maybe we have put into something before. Thank you for all kind comments. I must go for quitting. Life isn't an option for me. Must run the race with dignity and love. Amen to that. Amen to that. He lost his integrity a long time ago, and maybe his dignity in the end by the time all the details and truths come out about this case. Yeah, I agree. Well, Ann Taylor mopped the floor with him. He was no match to Ann Taylor. He was a Barney Fife, low energy prosecutor, and he didn't have what it took for this case. He wanted to make sure it looked like a win in his win column for his retirement package. That's all he did. He didn't care who he hurt in the process. He had a strong case, and he should have had confidence in taking this to trial, and he failed to do that, and he sandbagged the victims' families in the process, at least 3 of them. And that's not okay with me. And what I find out from the University of Idaho, for the lifetime of this show, the University of Idaho, I will recommend nobody send their child there, because of the way that they handled this and how quickly they just wanted to shovel it under 4 lives, 4 of their student body, and they just wanted to tear it down and erase it from everything. If they're going to do a bench for them, I hope that they do a bench and send it to the family, because I don't think I would ever want their name to be on that university ever again. Because the university definitely did not have their back, and definitely did not have the back of the families. And I hope the university understands they do not own those 4 beautiful names, and to get permission before they put anything out there in their honor. Do I think they should be honored? I do. Not on those grounds. Not on those grounds. That school failed these kids. They didn't fail them while they were here. They failed them after death. And that's when they should have risen up and did the right thing. That house should have stayed erected until. Did they already have an idea that they were going to plea this out? And they knew they just didn't need the house? Was this always the end game for the prosecutor? Blocking the community, blocking the public, even the families that lost everything? I got no nice things to say about Billy. Or excuse me. You know who I'm talking about. Throwing Tennessee's governor in an Idaho case. Gotta love Betty. Gotta love Betty. Sorry, Bill. I'm tired of the DP just being bargaining tool. Me too. Because look at this. I mean, even this Yahoo. The only reason why they're DPing, they're putting DP. I found out the laws in Tennessee. Listen to this, guys. Are you ready? Sit down. If you're a Tennessee resident, raise your hand. Maybe. Well, I think you should know. Okay, whether you're a Tennessee resident or not, maybe I shouldn't call you out a Tennessee resident. We love our Tennesseans, right? We're glad you're here to learn, right? And learn what you can do to help inspire change in your state. We need all of you guys to help inspire change in your state. I don't dictate what that change should be. I leave it to the people that are living in that state. But you guys know you have a problem and something's got to get done. In the state of Tennessee, the reason why Austin Drummond was released from jail is because everybody has a right to bail. Everybody has a right to bail. So apparently, they could have put like $1 million bail on it, but they didn't. Gave him a low bail and let him get out. Everybody's entitled to a bail unless it's a capital crime and face DP. That's the only time bail can be denied in Tennessee. So that means every violent criminal, murderer, artist, essayer, if you're not eligible for DP for your crime, you get a bond. And you get to go back out on those streets in Tennessee. So glad Tennessee is tough on crime, aren't you? Let's give Tennessee a big old fat hand. Come on, guys. Where's the clappy hands? Should we not have clappy hands for this? The child arrests, the worst of the worst, as long as it's not a capital crime or DP, they get a bail. They get to go home. They get to go back to their house living right next to you and your family. Isn't it attempted? No. Capital crimes means you can be put to death. And first degree attempted murder doesn't rise to DP. Might rise to 20 or... You got to remember, you don't even get life there. Their life in Tennessee is 25 years. So, I mean, I want you to think about that. And you guys know how tough. I'm so sick. This is stuff that I need Tennessee to start getting right. It's crap like this that are letting criminals back out on the streets to injure more victims. Violent offenders should not be let out. If they're going to be let out, they should have daily checkups. If somebody is on the hook for a first degree attempted homicide, you would think he would have stringent release, orders. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. He should have had an ankle monitor, no? Check in at least twice a week. Random drug tests. None of that? And everybody keeps saying in Austin Drummond that Caitlin was fired for bringing him, contraband. I reviewed a letter of her termination. It said nothing of contraband. As a matter of fact, it even showed she worked there after he was released in September. It wasn't until the first or second week in October, she stopped going to work. She just stopped going. And after 2 weeks, they terminated her for no call, no show. First week in October. And everybody's still passing around she was fired for bringing him contraband. I still have not been able to determine who was allowing him to have that contraband, because if it was her, where's her termination on that? It had nothing to do with anything to do with contraband. After he got released, she worked there for 2 weeks and quit her job. I mean, didn't quit her job. She just stopped going to her job. She never reported for duty. In my opinion, I believe his guilt. He's guilty. I just think he was driving, aka the lookout, while the rest did what they did. Yeah, there's something going on here. I'm sorry, but who was in the white SUV? What if? Because I'm still trying to piece all this together, because I know he's been charged with kidnapping, but I've been getting so many different reports from people out there saying it was a white car, that it was a white SUV. We know that the only white SUV was Courtney Rose's vehicle. I think you guys might be right. Because we don't know. Okay, follow me here. We heard the family lives in Dyer. Is that what everybody understands? It wasn't Lake County that they weren't living at that house in Lake County. Am I understanding that correct? The 620 or 622 Covington Road address? The white SUV was a rental. The Nissan Rogue. Oh, it was a rental. Why was she renting an SUV? They were all into some bad stuff. You don't usually rent a car where you live. The only people I know that rents cars by the week or by the month are the dealers. So why was she renting a car? Was her car... I mean, unless she had an automobile accident, you know, where the car was getting repaired, you get a rental, something like that. You know, I understand that. The lady that worked at the prison, yeah, she didn't get fired for contraband. She got fired for failing to show to work for almost 2 weeks. And they finally kicked her to the curb and ordered her to return all of her uniforms and badges and stuff. I'm not liking the video stuff running behind a BHB. Too much movement. Oh. Well, there's nothing I can do about it. Oh, let me put this back up. There's not much I can do about it. It's my reel. It might become a little bit better, but I put a photo carousel on it. It just makes it a little easier for me. Just makes it a little bit easier for me. So we got stuff going behind the scenes. Let me keep reading. Allegedly, they took it to Gatlinburg. Okay, well, if they were on a trip, that makes sense. But why were they running to Gatlinburg? There's just stuff going on. Caitlin rented the Rogue for the trip with Drummond, allegedly. Then why did they say that was Courtney Rose's vehicle? It could be, because now I'm starting to think of it. We got, you know, the girl and the two dudes, Brown and what is it? Giovanni starts with a T. Giovanni Thomas. So we had Tanaka, Brown, Giovanni Thomas. We've got Brandon Powell and Dira something. I think is what her name is, Dira. I might be wrong with that. I'm going off memory. So we had a pickup truck, an SUV, a black Charger, and an Acura, a 2000 Acura, and we've got 4 people in jail. And then we have Powell, which hasn't been charged with anything connected with the crime. I think Powell is the one that is working with law enforcement. He's the only one of the crew that hasn't been charged with anything directly related to Drummond. And we can date back that even after Drummond got out of prison, that he was out at his house during that time. And him and Drummond were busted with the contraband thing before he was released from prison. So obviously they smoothed things over with one another if he was at his house when he got released from prison. So now I'm starting to think that because he's the only one out of the whole bunch and seems to be the most tight with Austin, and the fact that he's the one that has all the money for the attorneys, the $75,000 bond, and to go over to Crawford and handle that one as well, he seems like the kingpin to boot. So now we've got him. Seems like he would be the one that would probably order something. Maybe Austin, blame them for the bust. Who knows? Who knows? Some people are starting to think that there was something more going on behind the scenes other than this whole substance issue. They believe that there may have been some major bad blood with the family. Potentially. Some people are alleging that it's possible that Drummond and Caitlin had problems, that Caitlin got pregnant, things weren't going well, she broke up with Austin, and then shortly after her breaking up with Austin, he goes and unalives her family. I don't know why she thought after him being in prison and having problems since he was 12 years old, and here he is, been in prison for a decade, and it's just the mentality of people. Oh, well, he's changed his life. How do you know? Well, he's been good until he's not. This is one of those things where he can be, he can sell ice to Eskimos, and he's all up in their family, all up in their business, all up in everything, until he switches. And then what? This is why you don't trust. This is why you make people earn your trust. I'm not saying that somebody that's gone and did time and stuff can't change their life, but you don't throw them parties and you make them prove they've changed. You just don't assume they have. You make them prove they have. And right now, he didn't prove anything. Fat Fox God. Yep, that's it. Or cooking with Big Daddy. Car business. I bet you it's a car business. It's a car delivery service business. So we have some questions. I'm still not convinced. It sounds like there may be that the Covington... The reason why I'm going through all of this is because it sounds like there might be... that the Covington address may have been a dump site, potentially. We're still flying blind here with all the details, so it may be that way. It may be where they were staying. I don't know that much about their address. Their address hasn't been brought up. I think I heard an officer said that they resided in Dyer, which again brings you back to why were they in Lake County? It sounds like a dump site, so that means there must have been a crime scene. All four of them got in vehicles, drove bodies out to Lake County, to this Covington area, and dropped them. I mean, I don't know if that's the case. I really don't. I'm trying to piece this together like everybody else is. But we have conflicting stories on who dumped the baby. One of the stories is that it was the news stories. When I say stories, I'm not talking about independent stories. One says it was a white vehicle. One says it could a white vehicle and could have been a white SUV. And then we hear on another news story from Court TV that somebody pulled in, got out, placed the baby in the yard. They didn't just toss the baby out. Placed the baby in the yard and honked the horn. And then took off. So, isn't Lake County where the prison is? Interesting. I think you're right. Common sense. As a matter of fact. I think you're right. And all four of those people that were arrested, 5 of those people that were arrested, they all would have known that area because they all were probably part of that clan of misfits dumping contraband over the fence in the prisons. Caitlin Speed is involved. I'm very concerned about why Caitlin hasn't spoke publicly about this situation. She might be in such grief, and she's pregnant, so we gotta be mindful of the baby. The baby in her belly didn't ask for any of this. And this stress of whatever is going on can absolutely affect that child. So, I mean, we're not dealing with just a normal woman here. She's a pregnant woman. And I think we don't know the situation. I don't want to say that Courtney's sister would be involved in something like this. Me and one of my sisters don't really have a very close connection anymore, and I would never think my sister would be involved in something like this. Absolutely not. But there's a possibility. I mean, there's a possibility for anything. We all know that. I mean, people, this day and age, we know it's the people that are closest that can do the most damage in somebody's life. Yeah, but it's starting to feel more probable that she had the whirlwind romance in jail, right? And then he gets out, he promises her the moon, the stars, and the world. They shack up together, she winds up pregnant, and then he starts doing the flip, right? And she's starting to think, oh my God, what did I get myself into? She splits from the man, and he goes and turns her world upside down. You know? There's, you know, I just don't see, I don't know. Just like, and it's not that I'm always right, and I don't ever profess to be always right, but just like Jennifer Soto, I wasn't willing to accept that right off the bat. You know, do I accept that today, that she had more, which ironically the picture pops up right behind me, that she's responsible for her daughter? I absolutely believe she is. But it took convincing. And in this one, you know, when it comes to sisters and moms and daughters, yes, we have problems in that area, but I'm not willing to just jump. And maybe that's bias of me. I'll own it. But there's just, it needs to be another level of convincing. We got a pregnant woman here that dated a really terrible guy. Was it a poor decision on her part? I absolutely believe it is. Am I getting a pitchfork and coming after her? No, I'm not, because I don't know whether she was involved or just put her entire family in harm's way. You know? And I think it's more the latter. That she was just too stupid and put her family in harm's way. Young, dumb, and full of you-know-what. And that's kind of where I'm at with Caitlin right now. Now, am I side-eyeing her? Yes, I am. Why? Because she's very much connected to this guy that just unalived 4 of her family members. But I also have to think, you know, she's pregnant. She's going to rely on her sister. She's going to be leaning on her sister. I just, it's hard for me, unless they were known to absolutely hate one another, which is not anything I'm getting. I just don't see that being a possibility. In my family, like me and my sisters, we'll fight with each other. But you don't want to fight with one of my sisters, because you'll have the other sisters up your crawl. We may argue with them, we may say terrible things about them, but you better recognize, you know, that's all I'm saying. So you know, and I have to apply that, you know, I feel like I'm an average Joe, right? So I take my average Joe in perspective and apply it in averagely across the board. And I just don't, again, I don't know this lady. I want to give her at least some grace until we find out otherwise, especially her being a pregnant mom. Pregnant moms make stupid decisions, okay? All the time. We see it. We cover it. So I'm gonna go with the dumb mom theory for Caitlin, okay? Whatever, the lifestyle that he had, that, you know, stuff, you know, being a ball, it must have roused something within her, but I don't believe that this was her out, you know, this was what the outcome she wanted. Who knows? We might find out different. We might find out that this Caitlin lady that's the sister of Courtney might be this manipulative bee that, you know, just horrible individual. But I'm looking at photos of her, and I'm just not getting that vibe from her. I'm sorry, I'm just not. There's more here to this story. I feel that there's more here to the story. I'm looking for more to the story. I don't want to assume when I know that this is going one of two ways. It's either drugs or domestic. Or, you know, those are the two I brought up. It seems like it's a little bit of both. I don't know. That's the way it feels to me. Allegedly, she was helping him in prison get things. Well, that's what I was saying, Cece. And that could very well be truthful. But what he had in his jail goes well over a new correction officer's ability to be able to provide to an inmate, okay? So there was a whole lot going on more in that jail that I can tell you than Caitlin could ever have authority to control. So that's one, and two, we're assuming, and it's a good assumption that she most likely was helping him, and I have to agree with that. But people are saying that's why she was fired. And, you know me, I'm a little stickler on some of the details, and when we have actual documentation, verified documentation out there, such as her termination letter, and people are still passing around that she got fired for bringing in, you know, all this contraband, unfortunately, I know law enforcement. If she brought contraband or assisted in contraband into that law enforcement box, she would have been arrested for it. And people said that she was arrested for it. Okay, well, great. That might have been after she failed to report to work. But she did get a termination letter that basically stated her failure to come to work for 2 Now, was there a warrant out for arrest and they caught her up in there and they were waiting for her to come back to work so they could arrest her for those charges? Maybe that's something that we might find out later. But for all intents and purposes, her actual termination was for failure to appear for almost 2 weeks to work or call. No call, no show. Exactly. So I just wanted to make sure we have the right information out there. Now, we're all hearing the rumors that she assisted somehow with the contraband and issues that were going on inside that jail. I don't dispute that. As a matter of fact, I believe it's probably a probability that she was helping him while he was inside there. I mean, obviously they got a relationship. So the deductive reasoning would be, yes, she would be helping her boyfriend if she's stationed there and he's behind bars and they're, doing wild things behind the doors, whatever. Okay, anyways, getting on with it. The bottom line is I believe she did help? Yes. Was she charged? Was her termination a direct result of it? It didn't appear to be so. Has she since been charged with those crimes? I personally don't know. If somebody can find the charging sheet for Caitlin, please send it over so I can do some fact finding on it. Without that, I think we need to take anything related to the sis with a grain of salt and cautiously. Because if they're saying these things about Caitlin being fired, then they should be able to produce the receipts for those. And right now, I'm only seeing the receipt for, and it's a legit receipt, for her being fired for failing to report to duty or call in, justifying the absence. So anybody that's saying otherwise, just, ask them for the, where did you find this information out? I'd like the truth. If that is the truth, then I want to make sure that we update us on why people are spreading that around, but we need a little more information than people's words. And so far, I haven't seen anybody produce an arrest record, a mugshot, or anything for Caitlin. Have you? I mean, we got pictures of her being pregnant everywhere. But if she was arrested for this contraband, where's the mugshots? Where's the charge sheet? They have the charge sheets out for everybody else, but they're not putting it out for Caitlin? It doesn't make sense, does it? So let's just be cautious. I know that this is a breaking case and there's a lot of moving parts, but we want to make sure if we're going to be looking at somebody, I mean, we can side-eye anybody, but if we're going to be vocalizing some type of involvement, then we want a little more than just somebody else's words. We want something a little more concrete. And right now I'm not seeing any of it. Would that not look bad on a prison to file her contraband versus no call? Yes and no, but you have to... People can be fired for covering, I would think, yes, it looks bad. It's in Tennessee, so would they be willing to cook the books? I would say the probability is pretty freaking high. Because I think there's more people involved in this than Caitlin. Caitlin would not have had the authority not to shake down cells, stuff that comes from the warden. I'm sorry. But this is not something Caitlin would have been able to have done. She does not have that. She does not have that type of pull in that prison to be able to have a boyfriend, sitting in there with all this crap when you don't know what the warden's ordering, you don't know what the supervisors are ordering or the commanders are ordering, and it would have to be somebody a little higher up the food chain, if you have to ask me. Nobody asked me yet, but I'm just saying, what I'm seeing in that prison, Caitlin would not be able to do shit with, okay? Sorry. This, whatever was going on with him, was further up the food chain than Caitlin. I can guarantee that. And that's what upsets me. Something's going on in that prison, and they should have had an IA investigation, and if they haven't, and they still haven't. Again, Tennessee, this is where we're just going to keep butting heads. We're just going to keep butting heads, Tennessee. We want full transparency. Full transparency. This guy got out of prison and murdered 4 people in less than a year of being released. Clearly, Tennessee doesn't understand what they're doing. And they don't have the laws to protect their citizens. Clearly. Everybody gets a bond, guys. Remember, that child artist that's not getting DP, he gets a bond too. Just remember that the next time you go to that voting booth. Because I'm sick and tired of covering these cases in Tennessee. And Tennessee, I need your help. It's time for you to look at your system in your local community and find out, is it a good old boy system? And if it is, you need to find a way to break it up. Because let me tell you, this is in your communities, not mine. I live in Florida. I just want to remind everybody that. Okay? I can walk out of my street, out of my house in the middle of the night. 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. I beg a fool to touch me. So, I'm just saying. I live in Florida. This isn't affecting me. Tennessee laws do not affect my life. They affect my work. I'm in Tennessee a lot, covering a lot of missing people and deceased people. But it's not affecting me. These are things that are affecting you in Tennessee. We're here to try to end kids being injured by adults. And we have a situation in Tennessee where a child artist could literally get a bond and walk out. Does that sound like tough on crime to you guys? If it does, I guess keep voting for the same stuff, and you know, I pray for you guys, but it's not my monkey. It's becoming my circus, but it's not my monkey. Alright guys, Betty, great show. You always love making everyone feel like someone. You're a beautiful. Oh, thank you, Starla. Well, take care. God bless everybody. We're going to be rolling out of here. Let me see if I got my ex. I didn't set up my... I'm still working on the buttons, okay? As you can see, I'm still working on the buttons. So, if she broke up with, maybe he did this to punish her. That's what I'm, you know, some people are implying that this might be some type of punishment for going, you know, for breaking up with him, too. I mean, this guy's an unstable character. It sounds like he's very vengeful and wants to hurt people if they cross him, like hurt them. And, that just seems to be his mentality. Everyone have a blessed day. You too, Sonia. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go with the outro. I don't know how long this. I actually might be on the Bryan Kohberger one, so I'll have to remember that when I move scenes again to unclick that. But either way, you guys have an amazing day. It is 11:15. All right. Well, we made it through. I like it. I'm building stuff. As you see, we now have intros going in. I'm probably going to set those up a little differently too, honestly. But, you know, I'm getting in here. I'm seeing what the capabilities are. This will only get better from here. We will have a green screen. My head will be floating on here one day. We're going to have crystal clear images, and you're not going to have to worry about a whole lot of stuff. We'll have it all set up. I am finding, however... getting the show, like I thought StreamYard, getting everything set up on my tabs and stuff like that were bad. That all has to be plugged into the system. So for me to show you guys anything, I'm probably going to have to plug you guys in order to show you. I might be able to do a screen capture, and that might be the way we have to do some of the screen shares and stuff like that. And maybe that might cut down on my setting up time. But it's interesting. That's all I'll say. It's just it's new. It's new, but I think we're moving through it fairly well. How is the image quality? How is the image quality today? And how was the sound? How did everything kind of, we need a flow. We need a better flow with everything. And I think I have a way of fixing that. But we just need a better flow. And I think once I get the flow, we're going to have a seamless show. Thank you, Sonia. Guys, don't forget tonight at 8 p.m., we are going to have a special edition of the Bullhorn Betty channel focusing on a special guest. And the topics of conversation is obviously the special guest, as well as the Layla Santinello and Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case. So I hope that you guys will love to come out there. I'll be doing, there will also, by the end of the show, if you guys stick around, we will be giving away a coffee cup. A BHB coffee cup will be sent to a lucky winner. So that will be relayed tonight at 8 p.m. If you want to be here for your coffee mug, you're going to want to be here at 8 p.m. If you are not here at 8 p.m. tonight, when your name is called, we will move on to a second name. So you have to be here at the end of the show to get your coffee cup. So Sonia, I don't know how you're going to work that out, but as you guys know, I do not pull names. That's all done third party. So I don't know how Sonia's going to work out. I can do it. She says she can do it. So let's have name 1, 2, 3. I think maybe 1 and 2. I think 3. Let's just do 3 names. And if all else fails, we will be having to do the other spins in real time. I love you, BHB. I've been watching all your lives. Aw, thank you, Mama Bear. Videos just listening, staying quiet. Well, hopefully we're moving the needle on at least visually. We're coming in crystal clear now. I'm really loving this. I have to be honest with you. I think that this is going to be amazing because everything that I've got in my head on what we're going to now do, now that I'm functioning on OBS, it's like the world is our oyster, and I've got a lot of stuff that I've been collecting over all the green screens I haven't been using those. Now we have the ability of really using the green screens and getting this to really, really rock out visually. So it's still going to take some building and some time. But yesterday we got me and the carousel behind me up. Today we brought in the intro videos. And, tomorrow is just going to be building on what we do. We'll just do a little bit by slow every single day until this is like a talk show. Maybe I'll even pull out the Bullhorn Betty mic, and start getting the mic so we're all professionals. Maybe I'll get a news desk. Who knows? The world is our oyster, folks. The world is our oyster. Okay, that's all I'm saying. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. And do not forget, tonight at 8. And the show is already set up. We're not going to be here on OBS. We're actually going to be back on StreamYard. And it's because I didn't want to have any technical issues. I still don't know how to bring people onto this platform yet. And I think it's a combination of a streaming service incorporated into this. Like I have to plug it in. Oh, come here. Everybody wants to see you. Come. You're the star of the show. You're the mascot. Come on. Come here, Delilah. I know you want to. She's like, but Mommy, I just want a scratchy. I just want. There she is. Aww. Aw, little baby. You want to say hi to everybody? Say hi. Say hi, guys. Hi, Mommy's precious little baby angel. I can never do anything wrong. Thank goodness I can't have a gun and I can't hurt people. I can bite somebody, but I'm too sweet to bite. I just lick. I lick and sniff. That's what she does. She licks and sniffs. You guys are busy. Oh, it's so cute. I can tell when she's tired. Like yesterday I was working. I'm trying to do this I've got to update, supplement some Discovery stuff. And so I'm going through all this stuff. So I'm working, reading, printing, organizing. And so finally, it's about 6:30, between 5:30 and 6:30. I didn't look at the clock, but I know it's about that time of the evening. And she gets up right behind me over on this side, and she just bear hugs my neck. And she's just looking at me like, can you please just put that freaking computer down? And I'm like, oh, you must want my attention. So I lean back, and she gets on my chest, and she gets right in my face, and like, Mommy, I want you off. I'm like, but she does this bear hug thing now. And so I moved the computer, and what does she do? She goes and grabs the toys and throws them at me and says, nah, I know what she wants. She wants to play. And then comes the, like what you just heard, and that's for B-A-L-L. She wants B-A-L-L in the back, Y-A-R-D. And it's like 100 degrees. So if you noticed, I don't say the word because she is a kid. So you say the word, she goes crazy, and I'll show you one day. Before when we end a show, I'm gonna act like I'm talking to her and you're not even here, because when she knows you guys are on, she acts good. But when it's just me and her, and I say the word B-A-L-L, you hear her go crazy. She starts yapping at the highest. I've never heard this sound come out of a dog. Not out of my dog. Even when she barks at people, it's not this high pitch, like, Mommy, let's go. And then if I forget my sunglasses, she's right up my butt yelling at me, like, let's go, lady. And nothing stops until the door is open and she's out the door, and then the sound stops. And then I have to throw the ball, or the sound starts again. And so that was the beginning of the sound. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, guys. You guys had enough of me. I will see you guys back here tonight at 8 o'clock. Be there, be square. I think you're going to want to be here. It's going to be a great conversation. And like I said, we're going to open up the phones for about, 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the show. So if anybody has any questions or statements or anything like that, you guys can call in. It's probably enough to take maybe 2 to 3 calls. That's it. So, anyways, guys, I love you. Have a great day, and we'll see you tonight at 8. This is the end of the show, and I will get us an outro and figure out different mode settings to automatically take me out. But, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're just here. So, see you soon.